Joining us on stage right now is Carlos Ghosn, CEO of Renault Nissan. Carlos, thank you very much for making the time to talk to us today. I appreciate it. I know you guys are super busy, so I'll keep it short. But I'm curious. You guys unveiled the Q60. We're looking at this vehicle that's very driver-oriented, yet it has some of the most autonomous things that are out there.
Yeah.
How do you see these two things merging as we go along?
Well,
you know, as far as having a driver experience and autonomous at the same time.
Well, it's totally compatible because that's what, at the end of the day, autonomous drive is about, is empowering the driver. I would like to empower the driver. I mean, allow the driver to say, I drive whenever I want, and I stop driving whenever I want, you know, because people say, yeah, you know, because we would love to continue to drive, the pleasure of driving, except that, I mean, there is no pleasure in driving into a jammed highway.
Right, of course not.
In downtown New York or downtown San Francisco whenever you have a traffic jam. So what we want is to make the driving experience more pleasant by telling you, you know what, you switch it on, you can, you know, let the car drive you. You switch it off, you can drive the car. So it's totally compatible that you can make it more fun for the driver, and at the same time, you're giving him the power to just stop driving whenever he wants.
So you see that as kind of the future, as giving everyone that choice. You flip the switch, I have control.
Exactly.
As opposed to just, it
exactly.
just takes over.
Exactly. But this also needs to be married with connected car. Because if the car is not connected,
correct,
well then if you don't drive, you have nothing to do.
Right.
So, I mean, instead of having your hands on the wheel, your eyes on the road, you have your hands off the wheel, your eyes off the road, but you do what? This is where the connected car plays, because then you can video conference, you can read, you can finish your memo, you know, people make makeup or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can use this time to do something else while you're not driving. That's the beauty of what's coming. Autonomous drive, empowering the driver, and connected car in order to make sure that you're making the best out of the time while you're not driving.
So is there now a shift in focus as far as interior of cars goes? Because, like you just said, there's multiple things they can do now. Now we focus on, well, what else can we give them the option to do if they need to watch a movie, if they need to have a conference?
Exactly. And this is where electric cars can play a role because, as you know, today we are used to have a specific configuration inside the car. Okay, you have the driver sitting on a place, you have a center console, you have a passenger here, you have the engine, you have the transmission, etc. But when you go to the electric car, and particularly the in-wheel motors, which is the future of the electric car, then you completely free the space inside the car. So you can imagine that inside the car, you're going to have bigger screen, larger screen. You're going to be having people sitting, facing each other, and at the same time driving. So there's going to be much more versatility in the use of the car due to the technology.
Do you think, when we look at these autonomous cars, this is technology that we have. It's something that's not the future, it's now. What do we find the reason is that people aren't putting these in cars right now, that we're not looking at completely autonomous cars tomorrow?
Well,
is it regulatory?
No, it's both. But I don't think the technology is ready. Okay. I mean, you can drive a prototype. Last week we had a lot of media driving our prototype autonomous drive in the city of Palo Alto. They've done it, so they've seen it. Now, to move from the prototype to a mass marketing, it takes some time.
Sure.
Because you need to test the reliability, you need to work on the cost, you need to work on a lot of things before you can move from the prototype to the mass market. And in my opinion, this is a transition of 3 to 4 years for a totally autonomous drive. Not autonomous drive on a highway or one lane. This is easy, we can do it now.
Right.
But autonomous drive in all conditions, highway, downtown, cities, etc.
Weather.
This is 4 years. This is 4 years, in my opinion, down the road. But on top of this, you need the regulator to jump in. Because today you're supposed, in many countries, to drive with your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. This is regulation.
Sure.
You can't drive another way. So you need the regulator to allow you to drive with your hands off the wheel, your eyes off the road, and doing something else. Okay? And this is going to take some time for the regulator, and we're not talking only about the US regulator, we're talking about the Chinese regulator,
everybody,
the Japanese regulator, the European regulator. All these people need also to analyze the technology and give the driver the authorization to do that. So in my opinion, totally autonomous cars are more around 2020, not only for the technological development to mass market, but also for the regulatory frame to change and adapt to this new technology.
And when we're talking about all this technology, you see, it seems as though we're seeing a shift from these big displays, these big reveals here at the auto shows, and more towards things like CES. We're looking at, less about the gearheads and more about the actual technology being the star of the show. Is that the case? Do we see a future where we may not have a Detroit Auto Show, we may have just a CES reveal?
No, I don't think so. I think you're going to continue to have a Detroit Motor Show, and you're going to continue also to see participation from car maker in shows like CES or similar shows taking place in Europe or in Asia. Because, the car is such an important product in the life of people, and it's a kind of intersection of so much technologies and so much demands. Well, in the past, the car was used mainly to transport your body. That's why you need the car.
Right.
I need to go from one place to the other. I go into the car and I'm being driven or I drive. Well, now the car becomes a personal space where you can call, be called, work, video conference, being driven, etc. So we are moving from a concept of a mere autonomous transportation to a mobile personal space where there is no difference between what you can do in your house, in your office, or in the car, in terms of work or in terms of communication. So it's a big change, very exciting, by the way.
It is exciting.
Obviously it's an opportunity for many people to jump in and say, I want to contribute to that. But I think the car makers are very conscious of this, and I bet that they're going to be the main driving force to this change.
Yeah, I think we just got to work on getting bathrooms in cars, and then we can just live in our cars all the time. So let me shift for a second, because we're talking about autonomous. Let's talk about getting your hands on and getting dirty, and we're talking about the Titan Warrior. What was it? Gorgeous concept car. That's beautiful. And talk about just a little bit of that. That's a very it's a niche market. Are you looking at a halo vehicle? Are we looking at something that we get into that racing, that off-road, that Baja type style to really draw people in?
Yeah, all car makers look for some halo models, particularly in large segment of the market like the large pickup truck. Let's not forget that this is a 2 million unit a year sales in the United States. It's one of the largest segment in the United States. So with one car, you're going to be able to approach this market. So you need halo models that are going to attract the attention to the product in order to create more awareness about your basic offer. So that's what we're doing with the Warrior. I think it's going to bring more visibility to Titan. Titan sales are starting now. And we really think we can contribute to offer more choice for the consumer in this important segment.
And are you seeing, as this goes along, or do you predict or hope that you have Nissan owners that are moving up to become truck owners, or you think you're going to pull Ford owners over and become, the Chevys, the guys who are truck people already?
You know what? I don't think we track too much about where the consumer is coming from. I think, in particular in this segment, if you have a strong product, and people know about it, because this is another point, is people need to be aware about the product and the feature of the product, that will come to you. No matter if they come from competition or they are switching from a 1-ton pickup to a large pickup truck or something else. I'm not worried about it. This is the beauty in the US particularly. People like products. So if you bring them a good product that they like, they are convinced with, they switch brand.
Oh yeah, and again, beautiful truck. I'm excited. I can't wait, because I want to get behind the wheel of that. So Carlos, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Good luck.